Hey, Coach Scott here. It's been a few weeks since I uploaded a video, and I promise we'll get back to the 6 pillars of health here soon. But the reason that I've been out, I thought would make a really good video for everyone today. So I had an adverse reaction to a medication, and my comeback from being hospitalized from that is what we're going to talk about today. A few weeks ago, I ended up in the hospital with something that honestly got serious faster than I expected. What started as elevated potassium levels eventually turned into early kidney failure and pneumonia. And looking back now, there were warning signs that I probably ignored longer than I should have. Fatigue was climbing. Resting heart rate was elevated. Recovery was getting worse. Stress levels stayed high. Breathing felt off during training. And overall, my body just was not responding normally anymore. At first, I did what a lot of people do. I tried to push through it. I kept thinking, I just need to train harder. I need to stay disciplined. I cannot lose momentum. I do not want to get soft. But eventually, the body makes the decision for you. I ended up hospitalized for several days, being treated for the elevated potassium levels, kidney failure, and pneumonia. One of the biggest mistakes people make after illness is trying to return to normal too quickly, especially people who are highly driven, athletes, former athletes, military personalities, hard charging personalities, people who identify strongly with training. The instinct is almost always, I feel a little better, so let me get right back to work. That is the wrong move because feeling less sick is not the same thing as actually being recovered. And this is where people get themselves into trouble. The cardiovascular system may still be recovering. The kidneys may still be recovering. Inflammation may still be elevated. The nervous system may still be under heavy stress. Electrolytes may still be unstable. Sleep may still be impaired. Recovery capacity may still be compromised. But mentally, people want to go right back to their old training levels immediately. That can backfire badly. And honestly, this is where ego becomes dangerous because fitness culture often glorifies pushing through, no excuses, grinding harder. But there is a difference between discipline and stupidity. Returning to intense training too quickly after illness can prolong recovery, suppress the immune system further, increase systemic inflammation, increase cardiovascular strain, and potentially create much bigger problems than the original illness itself. This becomes even more important after pneumonia, kidney stress, electrolyte imbalances, severe dehydration, viral illness, or long periods of elevated stress. The body needs time to stabilize before it can handle hard training stress again. And that is something a lot of people underestimate. One thing I noticed personally was that even after I started feeling better, my recovery markers still clearly were not normal. My resting heart rate stayed elevated. Stress levels stayed elevated. My conditioning dropped quickly. Energy fluctuated. And workouts that normally would have felt easy suddenly felt much harder. That is the body telling you, we are not fully recovered yet. And if you ignore those signals and immediately jump back into hard training, you can dig yourself into a much deeper hole. So instead of trying to rush back into full intensity, I made the decision to take a much slower approach. Honestly, slower than my ego wanted, but probably smarter than what my emotions wanted. So let me walk through the plan. Week one was basically nothing. No training, no cardio, no lifting, no conditioning, just recovery. And mentally, that is hard for people who are used to training consistently because you feel like you are losing progress every day. But the reality is this: the body does not rebuild during training, it rebuilds during recovery. And after illness, recovery becomes the priority. The goal during that first week was simple. Let inflammation calm down. Let the kidneys recover. Let breathing normalize. Let sleep improve. Let electrolytes stabilize. Let the nervous system calm down. That first phase is not about performance. It is about survival and stabilization. Then came week two. Week two was steps only. No formal cardio, no lifting, no high intensity work, just walking. And honestly, walking is one of the most underrated recovery tools there is. Walking helps improve circulation, improve recovery, supports blood sugar regulation, improve lymphatic flow, reduce stiffness, helps breathing normalize, and improves nervous system regulation without placing massive stress demands on the body. And this is important. Recovery from illness is not just about muscles. The cardiovascular system, the nervous system, and the immune system has to recover. People often focus only on how strong am I or how much muscle did I lose. Meanwhile, the systems underneath are still struggling. Week three added 2 zone 2 cardio sessions. Again, not high intensity. Zone 2 means controlled, sustainable effort. You should still be able to talk. Breathing increases slightly. Heart rate rises moderately, but the body is not being crushed. And there is a reason for this approach. Zone 2 helps rebuild aerobic fitness without overwhelming recovery. After illness, especially pneumonia, the cardiovascular system and lungs often lose conditioning quickly. But trying to jump straight back into intervals, hard conditioning, or maximal effort training is usually a mistake. The body needs gradual exposure to stress again. Think about it like physical therapy for your conditioning. You are rebuilding capacity, not testing limits. And honestly, this is where a lot of people fail psychologically because they compare themselves to their pre-illness performance. That is dangerous. If you constantly compare your current capacity to your healthiest version of yourself, frustration takes over quickly. You have to temporarily shift the goal. The goal is no longer peak performance. The goal becomes rebuilding safely. Then comes week four. Week four is continued step count, 3 zone 2 sessions, and a deload style return to lifting. But even then, I am only using about 50% of my normal working weight in the gym. And this is where most people think, that sounds too easy. Good. That is exactly the point. The biggest mistake after illness is confusing what your muscles can survive with what your recovery systems can tolerate. Could I probably force myself to lift heavier? Honestly, probably yes. But the issue is not, can I survive the workout? The issue is, what happens to recovery afterward? What happens? That night, the next day, 2 days later. What happens to sleep quality, inflammation, heart rate? How about your recovery markers or fatigue levels? Because after illness, recovery debt accumulates much faster, and people often do not realize they are overdoing it until the crash happens. One hard workout can create several days of elevated fatigue, nervous system stress, increased inflammation, sleep disruption, elevated resting heart rate, and delayed recovery, especially after serious illness. So this slow reintroduction is not weakness. It is intelligent recovery management. And honestly, this entire process changed how I think about training. A lot of us have been conditioned to believe more is better, harder is better, faster is better. Everyone has heard the phrase, no pain, no gain, but health is not built by constantly redlining the body. Health is built through balancing stress and recovery appropriately, and illness exposes that reality quickly. One thing people need to understand is that the body does not care about your emotions. The body responds to stress load. Training is stress. Illness is stress. Poor sleep is stress. Inflammation is stress. Life stress is stress. And if total stress exceeds recovery capacity for long enough, eventually something breaks down. That breakdown might look different for different people. It can lead to hormonal dysfunction, injury, chronic fatigue, illness, burnout, cardiovascular strain, and nervous system dysfunction. But eventually the bill comes due. And honestly, I think a lot of high performers struggle with this because they are used to forcing adaptation through willpower. But there are times where the smartest thing you can do is temporarily back off and allow recovery to happen properly. Not permanently, not forever, temporarily. Because the goal is not winning one workout. The goal is long-term health and long-term performance. And the reality is, if you rush recovery, you often delay the return to full performance even longer. Whereas a slower, more controlled rebuild usually gets you back to full capacity faster overall. So right now, that is the focus. Rebuild intelligently. Manage recovery carefully. Monitor symptoms honestly. Keep ego under control. And let the body regain capacity gradually instead of trying to force it overnight. Because long-term consistency will always outperform short-term recklessness. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, personalized programming, or learning how to build a realistic long-term plan for your health and performance, check out the links in the description. And if this video helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who probably needs the reminder that recovery matters too. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep digging.